Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this amazing webinar episode, Innovating and Driving Agility with Tech, No-Code Development, brought to you by PMT and sponsored by Logi Analytics. This is the 5th episode of our series, Journey to the Perfect Application. My name is Julie Lawson, the webinar coordinator for this episode, and I'm excited to bring you some hard-earned insights about no-code development. I'm really looking forward to interviewing and talking with our speaker. And if you miss any of today's episode, have no fear because this will be recorded. You can access the recording by clicking the link in the chat box, which will show up right about now. Before we go any further, I want to thank our sponsor, Logi. Logi Analytics empowers the world's software teams with the most intuitive, developer-grade embedded analytics solutions and a team of dedicated people invested in your success. Logi leverages your existing tech stack so you can quickly build, manage, and deploy your application. And because Logi supports unlimited customization and white labeling, you have total control to make the application uniquely your own. Over 2,100 application teams have trusted the Logi platform to help power their businesses with sophisticated analytics capabilities. Logi Analytics is headquartered in McLean, Virginia, with offices in Ireland, England, Ukraine, and China. Learn more about what's possible with Logi at logianalytics.com. Thanks again, Logi. On that note, please feel free to ask questions during today's session. Engagement from you guys is the key to a great webinar, so please don't be shy and pop those questions in the question box. You can do so by submitting them into the question panel on the right side of your screen. There will be a Q&A section at the end, so stay until the very end to hear even more fresh insights from Gautam. My lovely colleague Joseph will be fielding your questions today, and he'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. So pull up the question panel and say hello to let him know that you're listening. Lastly, if you have any audio issues during today's presentation, you may choose to dial in by phone. You can do so by selecting the More button in the upper right portion of your screen and then select the Switch to Phone option. So today I'm talking to Gautam Nimmagadda. Gautam is a technology enthusiast and a motivated leader committed to delivering value to customers, partners, and associates alike. As CEO of Quixy, a no-code digital transformation software company, he relishes problem-solving with a hands-on approach. Gautam considers himself a forever student and avid reader and is always looking for a good challenge. So, without further ado, take it away, Gautam.
Thank you, Julie, for the kind introduction. Good morning and good afternoon for everyone joining from US, and good evening for rest of the people who are joining from other parts of the world. So it's a pleasure to speak with all of you today on a topic that I'm really passionate about. So as Julie mentioned, I am the founder CEO of Quixy, which is a no-code platform to allow business users to be able to build applications without writing a single line of code. So one of the reasons why we started Quixy was in our strong belief in democratizing technology. So you could imagine the way printing press democratized knowledge, or desktops and or mobile devices democratized information along with internet. So we would want to also be able to democratize the ability to build software. So with that, let me just try to give you a little bit of context and get you towards the direction of what no code means. That's the topic of the day for today. So the angle that I am seeing from is business applications, and more than ever today, businesses need to be agile and fast, and they need flexibility. And COVID-19 has only accelerated the trend. So most organizations who have looked at technological initiatives that they would want to do or have them on their roadmap have accelerated, and we've seen that happen with us as well. We've seen a lot of customers who actually were putting their plans for the later end of the year actually accelerated their plans and moved their plans forward to be able to automate their business processes because the world changed and significantly. So businesses now have taken it up very seriously, and they're looking at digital technologies as not as a support system or as a enabler to do business, but more as a cohesive and integrated part of their business strategy. So I joke you not. Actually, surveys like this have been done, and the results of the surveys are also quite surprising. In fact, we have done a survey similar to this, and we did get a result where COVID-19 was the leader in or the choice for the people who participated in that survey. So it's no joke that we are going through this very tragic thing that where people are losing lives, but it has also on other areas of the world has caused acceleration of digital transformation, and it has made businesses aware of the need to put in digital strategies together and putting them together now. So we have seen many a times that the businesses depend on IT teams to deliver solutions for their business requirements, and the IT teams try to deliver them, but usually IT teams are unable to keep up with the business requirements. Why? Because businesses are agile, like I said. The requirements keep changing. And two, the IT teams do not understand the domain or the business process nuances. So they end up not developing a solution that the business actually requires. But there are always process gaps, understanding gaps, which cause solution gaps. So this, and it also is a time-taking process, which ends up in a scenario where the business teams lose the momentum of having a solution to be able to use that solution effectively, and testing out that strategy in the market and trying to see how it's changing the business experience, whether it is from a customer point of view or their operations or procurement or back-end office, whatever is the case. But because of the amount of time it takes to build applications when you're trying to write code, so the momentum is usually lost. And just a tidbit, so it is anticipated by IDC, one of the popular IT analysts, that 500 million apps will be required by businesses all over the world for the next 5 years. But the number of developers that will be available to be able to build apps, so those developers have or will have only the capacity to build 50 million apps. So there is a delta of 450 million apps. So basically, there is a 90% gap in terms of demand and supply. And this is where you know citizen developer, what we call as citizen development, comes into the picture. And over the last two years or so, I think there's been a lot of momentum in terms of having more and more people build software by themselves. And by the word citizen development has been recently coined. So the idea is where people who do not necessarily have the software development technical skills, but still be able to build software with their business knowledge. So the technical know-how of how to build software is abstracted through a visual or an other means of an interface, which allows general citizens to be able to build software. And thus the word citizen development. So and another tidbit is Gartner predicts that by 2023, the number of citizen developers would be 4 times the number of professional developers in businesses. So if you actually look at the number of software developers that are available currently in the world in terms of a population, so the percentage in employable people is, it's unbelievably low. It is 0.5%. So expecting 0.5% of the world's population to be able to build solutions for the entire world is actually not able to keep up pace. So what we believe is, I think, like how Gartner has pointed out, but we believe a slightly higher number. We feel that a number somewhere between 5 to 8% of the world population will build applications at some point of their time through citizen development mechanisms, whether it is no code, low code, or whatever the terminology is. So the most popular citizen development methodology is through no code, right? You do not write a single line of code, and no code usually means we give a visual interface which abstracts all the complexities and the technicalities of being able to build software and presents easy to use interface to the end user, who will be able to use that interface to be able to build business applications of any kind. So it's some of the analogies that are used are Lego blocks. So no code kind of gives these tools which are like these Lego blocks, where you can take these Lego blocks and put them together to build a structure that you would desire. Another analogy that is used is it's like paint application on our computers, where you have a tool set. You could choose the kind of brush that you want. You could choose if you would want to put a shape or a text, or the color that you want, etc. And then you will be able to build whatever you want without having to know the specific technicalities uh, of how a solution is built. So it basically tries to simplify the ability to build solutions. However, there will be scenarios where no code will not be able to do every possible software in the world. And the idea there is to be able to build 80 to 90% of software which is not necessarily complex in nature, and more business process oriented, and to be able to build these more repeatable software with no code, and leave the more complex software like probably the complex algorithms to figure out what is the right method to select individuals for distributing COVID vaccine, right? So instead of trying to build that with no code, I think if professional developers build algorithms for that, that will be a good use of their talent and skill. So which is why no code is focused on a certain set of use cases, and some of the use cases I've put up over here. The advantages that no code brings is it is cross industry. It's cross use cases, right? So it could be it's no longer vertical or horizontal. It takes the entire box. So it is a platform that you could use to build for a construction company. or it's also a platform that you could use to build software for a logistics company or for a health insurance company. So there is no limit in terms of, or I wouldn't say limits, but no uh, blockers in terms of which industry it can be applied in and for which use case it can be applied in. But we've seen, as Quixy, we've seen certain trends of how no code is mostly used. So for young startups, we've seen that they use no code to quickly build MVPs, right? So you have this brilliant idea, and now you do not have the capabilities to be able to build a product, or it's a little too expensive to build this product and then release it to the market and validate the idea. So we've seen startups actually use no-code platforms, build out MVPs, put it out in the market, get feedback on the idea, validate the idea, and iterate quickly and see if the idea is actually making sense, if the market is actually accepting that idea. And once the idea is accepted, so we've seen startups continue with the no-code journey, or in some cases we've seen startups where they've reached a certain scale and they move from no-code to professional development for whatever reasons. So the other use case that we've seen is smaller businesses. They either end up building, buying ready-to-use SaaS solutions, and they end up buying like a plethora of solutions for their various pieces of operations. So we've seen small businesses adopt no-code tools or platforms where they're building out these entire operations, or from a sales perspective, from an internal ops or back end procurement, whatever their use cases are, they're building out this entire set of their business operations on one single platform, and they're able to use no code to be able to build those solutions. And most of the no code platforms come with these ready to use solutions or templates, which you can simply install and then make some quick changes, and they're ready to use for your business. So it's not like they build from scratch. So we've seen small businesses use no-code platforms in these scenarios. For mid-size and large enterprises, we've seen they have this fairly mature IT landscape where they have most of the critical processes are digitized and automated. However, because of the continuous business changes and because of the expansion of business, a lot of process gaps keep opening up as time progresses, and they end up using stopgap solutions to fill these process gaps. So we've seen once the no-code platforms were available, the mid and large enterprises have started using no-code platforms to build solutions to fill out these process gaps, and also no-code platforms usually come with the capability to integrate with existing systems, again without having to write code. So these large enterprises are able to adopt these no-code platforms because these are mostly unique processes that are specific for that particular use case in that particular organizations. They usually build it out from scratch and then integrate it with their existing landscape, and they ensure that most of their processes, or in some cases all of their processes for their entire business operations are automated. So another recent phenomenon that we've seen is where businesses, mainly large enterprises, are focusing on building these multi-experience solutions for customers. So whether it is in the form of the web or mobile is now a given. So on top of that, being able to provide multi-experience solutions in terms of wearables, whether it's a watch or a HoloLens or a Oculus platform, being able to build solutions over there, and also to be able to build solutions on like a chatbot or through some other interface. So no code platforms are actually maturing, where they are now also able to provide these capabilities where businesses are able to build solutions once and then be able to create these multi-experience solutions for various scenarios for their customers and internal operations. Like in every slide, I've put another quick tidbit of information. Sorry. So the current annual, the market size of no-code, low-code platforms is about $10 billion, and it is projected to grow to a $187 billion. That's like 20 times its size by end of 2030. So the CAGR in this period is 30%, which is as high as it can get, right? So over an extended period of 10 years, having a CAGR of 30%, I think artificial intelligence is one other technology trend that is estimated or anticipated to have a CAGR equal to 30 or greater than 30%. So to summarize no code, right? So a lot of people believe that no code comes with a certain advantages. So the obvious no code advantages are obviously there is no coding, so it's faster, it's cheaper, and anybody can build. These are the obvious 3 or 4 advantages that come that everybody understands. But what also is extremely important is it's easy to maintain, extremely easy to maintain. And when once you have a solution and then you want to add something, you will be able to easily extend the solutions. And because the cycles are so fast, it brings in a lot of agility to the organizations that adopt no code platforms, right? You build a certain solution and then you put it into production, and then you have people testing it out or start using it, and then you realize that you need to bring in certain change to improve something or to address certain point that was not thought of before. uh, Now with no code platforms, it's no longer a matter of days, weeks, months, right? So it's you can potentially do it in a few hours, if not minutes, definitely in a few hours. So that brings an enormous amount of agility to a business. Of course, so there will be pitfalls, and those pitfalls, I will also bring forth some of the pitfalls that have to be taken care of by organizations when adopting no code platforms. But the other benefits of no code platforms are also, you make the solution future proof. And they're future proof simply because of the speed, right? You want to make some change, then you can quickly make that change and move forward. You do not get stuck because you have a legacy solution and you don't know what will break if you make some change, right? So that kind of scenario is avoided. And last but not least, building software is not always fun. There is usually a lot of tension between the business teams and the actual IT teams which build the software. Whether it is in-house IT team or whether it is a software product or IT services company. In any of these scenarios, there is usually a lot of it's intense, and there is a lot of information flowing back and forth, and people are frustrated. But I think no code platforms is bringing a sense of joy and a sense of achievement for business users or citizen developers who did not believe that they would be able to build software. So they are now able to build software. It's like almost magical for some of them, and it's bringing this sense of achievement, this sense of satisfaction, and also a fun factor while building software, which is not common, but we hope that it becomes a much more common scenario. So I've brought forth some benefits, but I also wanted to highlight some pitfalls in terms of uh, adopting no-code platforms. So one, because it is easy to build, so one of the things that we've noticed is people start building without thinking. So we at least we did not build technology where we can think for people and build the software automatically, right? We are not there yet. The process of understanding the business requirement thoroughly and deeply is still important. And even though no code gives you the ability to build software quickly, it doesn't mean that you start building software as soon as you get that spark or the idea that you need to automate a certain process. You probably would want to spend a little bit of time trying to understand the various scenarios, lay out that idea and break it down into pieces, and then start working on the software. So we've had customers, we've had our own team members where we've come across this scenario where somebody had this idea and then they just start building, and then they realize, then sometimes it could end up being a frustrating experience. Another pitfall that we've seen is when there is not enough governance in place for managing or allowing who builds what and what goes to production, and what is by production I mean what is available from a development scenario to generally available for all users to use. So if those governance procedures are not put in place properly, then we will be chasing tails, right? So there will be so many new apps that are created in your organization. You don't know which one is for what. So that's also something that we've seen, where organizations, in the excitement that now a lot of software can be created, end up creating or end up not putting in these proper governance procedures in place, because usually the IT teams follow good solid processes in ensuring on which team and what and how it moves to production for general use for users. Now that the citizen development era comes forward, so the right governance procedures have to also be put in place. And the obvious disadvantage with no code also is that you'll not be able to build every possible software, like I mentioned. So it is very important to understand what the limitations of no code platform is, and then build the applications in no-code platform to the capabilities of that platform, and what cannot be done in no-code can be built in mechanisms, the traditional development, and those two solutions can work together seamlessly, right? So you can use single sign-on, you can use these various methodologies, integrate, and they can still work seamlessly. But if the organizations expect everything to be done by no-code platforms, I think we are still not there yet. I think we're a few years away, where no-code platforms further mature, where we will be covering more and more scenarios, more and more complex cases, and more um, business scenarios, as well as technology usage, uh, and bring them into the no code fold. So these are some of the benefits and commonly understood pitfalls. So in addition to what I said in terms of benefits and pitfalls, so I've highlighted 5 key methods here. There obviously will be many more depending upon the organization. So it is extremely important for somebody to understand how to succeed with no code, right? So the what I would always say is, start simple. We advocate that to all our customers. Don't try to build the most complex solution on day one, right? Understand the platform better, understand what you want better, so and iterate slowly in and iterate the idea, iterate your understanding of the platform, and so start simple and then keep expanding. And obviously asking the right questions, whether it is no code or in any other aspects of our life, asking the right questions, first asking the questions and then asking the right questions. These are it's critical for us to be able to have an analytical view of what we want to build and to be able to have a clear plan. Uh, and the third thing is collaboration with IT. It's commonly there is a misconception in some pockets that no code means that you kick IT out. That's actually not true. And we've seen that collaboration with IT actually makes no code platforms far more successful than not having an IT team work along with the business team for ensuring that the no-code platforms get effectively utilized in an organization. The reason being that the IT teams fully understand the pitfalls of a no-code of not just no-code platforms, but the pitfalls of not having the right governance in place, not thinking through the ideas, right? So they've been through that experience many times, so they understand it better. So once the right mix of the IT and business teams is done, and they collaborate together, so instead of looking at it as a you versus me kind of a scenario, it is actually it is more of a teamwork. And we are beginning to call these teams as fusion teams, where you would have these uh, champions from the business side of the things, and then you would have some members from the IT side of the teams, and they would work together, forming a fusion team to implement no-code platform solutions in their organizations. So it's also extremely important that the ability to um, build software and be able to iterate quickly is fully utilized by bringing that same agility to the business as well. So once there is any change in the business process, they when the platforms allows you to when the platform allows you to build those solutions and make those changes quickly, with the right governance procedures processes in place, I think what we've seen is customers achieve 5x, 10x, or in some cases even 15x speed, not 15%, 15 times the speed making those changes and making it available for users again. So it's extremely important to understand that it is not just the software or the no-code platform or the low-code platform that will do the trick. It is extremely important that the right uh, uh, procedures, processes are in place. We understand the pitfalls, we understand the benefits fully well, and then we put in these good strategies in place, which will allow all the businesses to uh, uh, so that, sorry, let me rephrase that, which will allow all the businesses to encourage more citizen development in their organization and be able to get maximum benefit from the knowledge of all the champions of business processes who are in the organizations. So that would be my quick uh, pitch on no code and how it is extremely important for businesses today. Julie, if we can take some questions now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that great presentation. I feel like this is a topic that a lot of people need to start getting on. So I'm glad we have some good content out now about the basics. So I just want to remind everyone that it's okay if you need to run. Just remember that this has been recorded and it will be available for you to watch on our site within the next 48 hours. All registrants will receive an email with the slides and the presentation. I think we're going to go into a quick sort of interview portion where I'm going to ask Gautam some questions, and then in the meantime, please insert those questions in the panel and we'll get to them after these interview ones. So my first one for you is, will no code replace developers and cause job loss?
So we believe that scenario will not happen. It is a common question that is cropping up in a lot of places. It is kind of similar to the scenario that has happened in automation, when automation and mechanization happened in manufacturing industries, where there were fear of massive job losses, but the demand is so high, right? Like I think in one of the slides I did mention where the demand is for 500 million apps, and the capacity is only 50 million apps for developers. So the idea is not to replace, but to able to complement, to be able to match to the demand. So we believe that no code platforms will be able to they will be able to complement developers and they will do the more easier pieces of software development and allow the developers to focus on the more complex problems, extremely complex problems that we would want to solve. There are there is no limit to the number of problems that we have. So I think the talent will be better utilized in solving those complex problems than to build more run-of-the-mill solutions.
Great. And my second question for you is, if there's no code, how do organizations get intellectual property?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is kind of a paradigm shift. So we believe that with advent of no code capabilities and no code platforms, it's no longer the ability to code, and it is no longer, therefore it is no longer the code that is important, but it is in fact the business process that is defined, and the data that comes out of the business process, that is the property of any organization. So uh, organizations are beginning to understand this paradigm shift. So we are doing our piece of educating organizations that when coding is no longer as valuable for that particular scenario, then the real intellectual property is the business process. So the business process itself that you define and build the solution, you should be able to somehow take that business process out. So we should be able to have this standard interoperable um, standards that we create, where organizations should be able to switch from no code platform A to no code platform B, and export something out of A and then be able to plug it into B and then start using. So that way we'll be able to create a much more connected and a better ecosystem without having to force the organizations into a lock-in scenario, and also ensure that they get the value out of their intellectual property. So this is also kind of an analogy where earlier probably information was extremely important, right? Somebody remembering something about a certain fact was extremely important, but with internet now available on mobile devices or even on wearables, uh, it's no longer that important. It is how to apply that information, and how do you make use of that information is what's more important. Similarly, in the no code scenario, the ability to code is no longer important, but the idea of, and how you lay out that idea and break down that idea into a process and structure it out, I think that is.
All right, excellent. My next question for you, and then we're going to go over to audience questions, is do you have any specific examples from your own experience of how no code has helped a business?
So I will give you one example. We've helped a logistics company, or I'll give you two examples rather. So one was a scenario where it was a seaport, and they had to automate their shipping containers, right? These big boxes that are shipped across the world for importing and exporting of goods. So they had this massive business process on how they would process these import and export shipping containers. There was a whole massive business process, and the regulations were changing, and they had no automation in place, and they had to build this automation. They had to build this process so that they would comply with the new regulations and also be able to provide better customer experience. So what would have taken probably about 6 months to a year was achieved in a couple of months, and that brought in significant improvement in terms of their ability to provide great customer experience for their customers, because now they are able to provide transparency and frequent updates in terms of what the process is, of what their status is of their shipping container. It has also brought in the advantage of um, the speed. Instead of what would have taken a year, because of the no-code platform, it brought that the project got implemented in a couple of months. And post which also, there have been small tweaks, and business processes kept changing, and whatever changes were being done they were done in an hour and deployed, right? So that is like breakneck speed, and they've never seen anything like that before. So it was extremely empowering for that business. So the other example that I wanted to give was, we had this enterprise customer who had these very specific and unique methods and unique processes in their HR department. On they tried a whole bunch of ready to use softwares, whether it was as a cloud SaaS solution, or they even tried ERPs, but they were limiting in some sense or the other. So they would spend this whole lot of money, time, energy, and then at the end of the day, they wouldn't get the result that they wanted. So with a no-code platform, they always dreaded going with a bespoke solution, because they believed that it would take forever, and it would be any small change would, again, they would have to depend on that particular service provider. So but with a no code platform, they were able to not just build a very specifically defined process for their organization, their entire HR processes, right from hire to exit. um, and whenever there were any business process change, so for example, when the COVID hit, and there were a whole lot of changes, especially in how the HR department processes various, whether it was how the payroll was processed, how the leaves were considered, how the attendance was registered, etc. All of those processes changed, and they were able to adapt and be able to have those in place within a week. And that was made possible because of the kind of flexibility and the speed with which you can build solutions with no code platform.
Excellent. I like how you used examples from, two very different industries to show just how versatile no code can be. So with that, we're going to go into some audience questions. This first one is from Ashley, and she's asking, if you build on a no code platform, is it something you can then have a development team take over, or is it beyond what no code capabilities are?
So there are two methods of doing that. So if you build something on a no-code platform, you would be able to extend its capabilities by writing code that would integrate with this no-code platform. So there are some no-code platforms in the market which generate code, but they are far in between. So most of the no-code platforms do not generate any code. So if you want your developers to take over from what was already built, you would want to use use these APIs to be able to integrate with the solution that's already built. But if you are looking at no-code platforms that would build like a website, then they do generate code, and you would be able to take that up and be able to extend from there.
Excellent. All right, our next question is from Virginia, and she's asking, how is no code today any different from visual scripting that has been available for a long time?
So visual scripting, so no code, okay, let me retract that. So no code has been in existence for a long time. Like artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence has been there for like 50, 60, 70 years. So no code also has been a very popular concept for like 30, 40 years now. However, the degree of being able to handle the end-to-end capabilities were not available earlier. So you would only be able to build the interface, and then for the business rules, or if you had to build a report, or, you would still have to write code. But what no-code platforms of today are doing is you be able to build solutions end-to-end, whether it is how you want the UI to look, or how the business rules are to work, how the dashboards got to look, how do you want to send notifications to your on a certain trigger, how do you integrate with third-party systems, how do you push data, pull data. Everything can be done without writing a single line of code. So that's the difference. So the maturity that has come through in no code platforms is to the extent with or one, the complexities that it can handle, and also to the extent to which you can cover with NoCode.
All right, our next question is from Mirza, and they're asking, how flexible is no-code development for bringing/developing cloud-native solutions?
So most of the no-code platforms, most of them, I wouldn't say all, but most of them come out of box supporting cloud native solutions. So again, it will also depend upon the platform, but in my understanding, about 80% of the platforms will come out of box supporting cloud native solutions.
All right, thanks so much for that answer. All right, well, it looks like that's all the questions we have for today. I hope you all enjoyed this webinar and all of its awesome information, and that you're all buzzing to go after some cool projects with no code. Thanks to our sponsor, Logi Analytics, to our guest, Gautam Nimmagadda, and of course, all of you for attending. I'm Julie, and you can find PMT on productmanagementtoday.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Julie, for the opportunity, and thank you, everyone.